Hello everyone and welcome back to Blaugrana Everything and welcome back to the channel and another video discussing the latest developments surrounding FC Barcelona. In today's video, we're going to be looking at injury updates on Sergio Busquets, going to be looking at some team news concerning Philippe Coutinho, and as well as some transfer news involving the likes of Riqui Puig. So let's get into it. So first and foremost, we have some news on the club's most expensive signing, Philippe Coutinho. According to Javi Miguel of TV3, Coutinho has already entered the final stages of his recovery, and everything points that he will receive his medical discharge on Friday and he will enter the list which plays against Atletico. So that's already some news regarding the Atletico Madrid game. We are going to have Philippe Coutinho available. Furthermore, on the front of the game against Atletico Madrid, we have some more news which is on the injury front, and it's regarding Sergio Busquets. So we'll start the injury news in much the same place as we did in the last video, with an update on Sergio Busquets, as there have been some developments with his situation. According to Adria Albert, Sergio Busquets, Busquets, I'm rhyming in this place. Sergio Busquets will be out for only 1 week, according to sources close to the player, and that means he will only be out of the games against Atletico Madrid, Dinamo Kiev, and possibly Osasuna. So this is it's a major change on the initial 3 weeks that was being reported on Monday, and I guess 10 days makes sense for something that's like a mild sprain, right? Which is what the injury was officially reported as. As for what that means, it means that Busquets is only going to be unavailable for the 3 fixtures that we just mentioned here, rather than the 8 we initially thought in our last video. So overall, that's good to hear, because you always want your players fit and ready to make an impact should the situation arise. So get well soon, Buzzy, and yeah, we hope to have you back. Next up in the injury news, I'd like to apologize, because it was pointed out to me that during the last video, Coutinho and Araujo were missing from the injury news report, and yeah, I actually don't know how I missed those. But anyway, Coutinho, like I said at the start of this video, is now almost finished with his recovery and is expected to be available for the game with Atletico Madrid. Araujo, though, he's still in recovery from the hamstring injury he suffered at Juventus. So he started training, but currently he's still only training alone, so he's not yet training with the rest of the group. As for the rest of the injury list, the rest of the injury table, there are no changes as far as I've heard with the situation around Ansu Fati. And then as for Umtiti, he is actually training with the group now, but there's still no word as to whether he's available for like the game against Atletico Madrid. And I think the last time Coleman spoke about it, he didn't really give an answer as to when Umtiti can be back and in the team. Okay, so with that, we can move on to our next segment, which is, the transfer news. In the transfer news today, we do have an update that has to do with the club's brightest young prospect, or at least one of, Riqui Puig. So, according to Ivan San Antonio of Sport, nothing has changed regarding Riqui Puig, because he still only thinks about staying at Barca, and he is sure that with his work and sacrifice, he will end up convincing Ronald Koeman. So, like, this is following up reports that emerged on Tuesday that Puig and Alenia might have to go out on loan. So, if you ask me, Riqui he's deciding to stick with his guns, kind of like he did last year as well, when it was thought like, he won't be given that promotion to the first team. He should probably just look for minutes elsewhere. And yeah, he decided he's going to fight in the Segunda, with the Barca B teams and earn his place into the first team. Because, like he said back then, his only desire is to represent La Blaugrana. Okay, he only wants to wear our colors. So I'm thinking that with the quick turnover of fixtures, especially once the Copa del Rey starts, he should get a chance to try his stuff. I mean, like, surely even Koeman isn't that evil. Like, he'll be risking his first team players in early round fixtures against culturally or something like that. Like, come on, man. Anyway, in our second story with the transfer news, we've got news coming from Fernando Polo of MD, who's reporting that Ousmane Dembele won't be leaving in January as things stand. So obviously, I don't even know why this is something that had to be cleared up. Like, he's been our best player on the right wing. Maybe, like, with the way the season is going right now, he's probably one of our top 3 or 4 best players so far in the season. Anyway, so he goes on to say that contacts have taken place with Dembele's entourage regarding a renewal, but there's been no formal offer, and his renewal will be one of the first priorities of the new management, which will be elected in January. Now, guys, keep in mind, Dembele's contract runs out in 2022, and if he doesn't renew by the summer of 2021, the club could maybe be thinking, you know what, should think we can maybe sell this guy, because if we don't, we will lose him for free, and that you don't want to do that. But of course, on the other hand, again, renewing Dembele and anyone else who's on big wages is going to become a very tricky affair. And you'll see why once we get to our last item in the news. But to wrap this story up, it's believed that there is a willingness to sign a renewal on Dembele's part, but he doesn't want to think about it too much, and right now his only idea is to regain his best physical shape. And I think that's pretty admirable. Like, he wants to just focus on the football for now and to deal with the renewal later. So you know what? That sounds good. Good on you, Dembele. Keep fit, keep killing them like you did against Betis. So we have a precious update as well now. Okay, guys, regarding the transfer of Eric Garcia and that whole saga surrounding him and mysterious, experienced, or the precious update. Okay, so we did remark about it in the last video, or well, I did, saying that this whole getting an experienced guy for 6 months just feels like Boateng or Murillo all over again. And well, according to Fernando Polo of MD, once again, Barca are not thinking about buying another defender at a low cost in January as an alternative to Eric Garcia. Coleman would instead bet on defenders from the B team such as Oscar Mingueza, Santiago Ramos Mingo, and Arnal Comas. So I called it this a precious update for a reason, and it's because it's encouraging news. Because for a team like Barca, in their current financial situation, the last thing you want is to be bringing in players who will most likely demand big wages just to sit on the bench and provide cover, all right? I'm talking about names like Mustafi and Rudiger, who have been linked to Barcelona. With that, we now move on to our other news section. And man, this section is jam packed today. Okay, so let's get into it. First and foremost, in our other news, we have an update with regards to elections. Now, we know that the elections were set for the 24th of January, meaning that Busquets, who is the interim president, will have the longest term as an interim president ever. All right, we're talking only 2 days shy of the 90 days maximum, which is like, why does he need all that time? I don't know. What's happening? Like, why does he need all the time? Anyway, what's being reported by TV3 is that after the meeting between Barca and the government, I'm guessing that's the Catalan, government there, the government considers it is feasible for the elections to be held on the 24th of January. So in the next meetings, it will be decided whether the elections will take place for just one day, which is what Barcelona wants, or a period of 2 days, which is what the government prefers. They're now waiting for Barca to submit the protocol for those elections on the 24th. And so On this one, like I'm not going to try and sit here and pretend like I know everything, but I think maybe 2 days might be a better option than 1 day, because if you're the government and you're trying to look at limiting this contagion of coronavirus, I think the 2 days is going to be better because it means you can basically, like, split the number of people who will be showing up in half, so you don't have to worry about too many people being in one venue. But anyway, next up in the other news is now like the biggest news of this podcast. And just like, give me a second here, guys. This one is a whopper. Okay. So, this next update, it's news regarding salary caps that La Liga is set to enforce on all La Liga teams in 2021. Here's what it is. La Liga has salary allocations in Spain, okay? And those salary allocations for each team, by the way, can be spent on players, coaches, and academy players with the aim to bring greater financial stability to 42 teams that occupy the top two divisions of Spain. So, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? La Liga says, okay, they look at Barcelona and say, all right, Barcelona, you can only spend about this much because we know your revenue is that much. Real Madrid, you can spend this much because we know your revenue is that much. And, etc., etc. So, what has happened now? Well, what's happened is that Barcelona have seen their salary cap reduced by 48%, guys. Barca was initially given a salary cap of 671 million euros, which is like ridiculous. Why are we spending that much on people who are getting beaten 8-2? But yeah, that was Barca's initial salary cap, but now La Liga has come through, 48% chopped off, all right? And now that figure stands at 382.7 million. And woof, it's going to be pretty crazy because now this is like, I'm wondering how the club is going to offer big contracts. How is Barcelona going to be able to offer players like Memphis Depay, right? How are you going to be able to offer him the big wages that we all know he's going to demand, because he's going to look around at the Barcelona team and be like, wait, Samuel Umtiti is on how much? Sergio Roberto is on how much? Dembele is on how much? And those guys have barely done anything noteworthy in the world of football in the past 3 years. And your Memphis Depay coming in here, and because Barca want you desperately, you're going to ask for a lot of money. So now the question is, with this chop, like, is Barcelona going to be able to offer those types of salaries? I mean, sure, maybe someone like Eric Garcia isn't going to come and demand too much, so you'll be able to pay him. But what about someone like Memphis? And of course, the other question, which, if you remember, I brought up earlier, is looking at Dembele's situation where you need to renew. How are you going to offer him anything like the salary that he's getting right now? Because let's be honest, if Dembele stays fit for the rest of the season and he performs kind of the way he did against Betis, there's no way he's going to ask for a lower salary, right? He's going to want something more. So will Barca have the salary cap space to offer him that? I don't know. So yeah, guys, as ever, the world of FC Barcelona continues to throw plot twists from like every angle, like a crowd at La Tomatina. Yes, I learned the name of the festival in Valencia. I'm proud of myself. So, what are your guys' thoughts though? Especially on the salary cap business, because that could have huge consequences on what our next board could be able to do as far as recruitment, who they can bring in, and also actually as far as the maintenance of staff. Because remember, they say that salary cap is supposed to pay your staff and it's supposed to pay your academy members, your academy players as well. So it's like who's going to be sacrificed, in short, to meet that new salary cap. So yeah, it's crazy. But thanks again, guys, for tuning in. And remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to make sure that you do not miss another podcast from Blaugrana Everything. So have a great day and Forza Barça.
Valientes, 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 volvamos a